This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
You guys hear me okay? Okay. All right, this is the Finance Committee 5/18/21. It's 7:45, and we are here to discuss 2021-34 resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a software as a service SaaS agreement with Tyler Technologies to provide cloud-based hosting and related computer services and declaring an emergency. Present are Schumann Kelly Broussard from the committee, along with the mayor, the council president. I see, there's, looks like all of council is here. And directors Lieber, Kopfer, and Justin Almay from Tyler Tech. Carrie, if you want to go ahead and start.
Yes, and I just got a text from Director Gallo, and she's having trouble with her getting connected, so she's working on it. This might be her calling in right now.
I'm here.
Okay, good. There you go. Technology is great when it works, right?
Right, exactly. Sorry about that.
It's all good. I just got here too, but mine was a dog problem. Anyway, I did want to take a moment to introduce Justin Almay. He is our Tyler account representative. He's been our representative for, like at least 5 years that I remember. But before that, we had one representative for us that trained him well. So he reaches out to us and works with people, not just on the sales side, but also through the whole process, and is a partner with trying to solve problems and make solutions happen. So, and he also is strong in our Ohio users group. So we thank you for being there. I think there was supposed to be a Kyle on, but I don't know if he was able to sign in yet. So we'll wait for him, or we'll get started without him. But I know that I gave Clerk Mazzarolo a small PowerPoint to kind of get the main points across on this. I know we talked about the being cloud hosted solution versus not in the budget. So we've talked a lot about that. And we definitely talked about modules and software and stuff, but that's not what this is about. This is solely, if Clerk, if you can, Mazzarolo, if you could put up the PowerPoint. Solely this ordinance is about having our hardware infrastructure purchased and managed by our on-site IT staff, and we control that, versus using a cloud-based off-site system that's purchased and managed by direct knowledge industry staff that only work on Tyler and Munis. That's on the second one. If you can switch to the, did I miss what software as a service represents? I think that's the next one. First, if you take a look at the industry trends, this has been a solution that Tyler has offered for a while. I don't know exactly how long in this form, but they definitely offered it in other forms as well. And we in the past thought we weren't ready for it. Maybe the technology wasn't quite the way we wanted it, not Tyler, but just the technology in general. But Eric, our IT network administrator, was actually the one who encouraged me to look at this and suggested that this was going to be a viable solution for all of us, not just for finance and the users, but also for IT as well, and getting the best bang for our buck for our residents. Industry trends, it has been accelerating. I mean, everything you hear is cloud-based, and up to 60% of organizations are expected to use external service providers, cloud managed services by 2022. And it just seems to be growing even more so with COVID, trying to be able to work remotely in other areas, that it's even a bigger, it's probably going faster than what this forecast was from 2018. If you look at Tyler specifically, the current Tyler clients that have SaaS are 78%, which is over 8,600 clients. And Munis, which is a software that is under the Tyler umbrella, SaaS clients are about 35%, which keep increasing every year, and they're increasing at an accelerated rate. The 75% of new Munis clients in the last 2 years have gone right into SaaS, and being SaaS hosted. And in the last 6 months, it's been up to 95%. And there's a lot of reasons why I think this is a good solution, and why others are moving into this realm as well. I guess first, what is SaaS? It stands for Software as a Service, and it's a subscription model where our data is hosted in the cloud rather than on-site in our local IT department and in our server room. It eliminates the need to install and run applications on individual servers, and it streamlines maintenance and support for us on our hardware, because functions can be managed by the software provider, including application servers, storage, and networking, so it's more efficiently maintained. And it's also by people that that's what they do for a living, these Tyler products. Whereas IT, there's a lot of different things that in our IT department, that there's a lot of different software, a lot of different hardware, a lot of big projects that are forward thinking, that are critical to maintaining our infrastructure. So this is a good solution for us. If you take a look on the next page of the these are some of the comparisons, say, of being on-premise hosted versus off-site. And we have 3 servers, and on the next version of our software, there's 4 servers, and you basically need a new one every 5 years. Now, mind you, there is technology that is making it more virtual, so it's not quite as expensive as it has been in the past, but they also need to be maintained internally at their operating efficiency. We have a 2-person IT division that has minimal time to devote to these upgrades and functionality of the software that's critical to our financial reporting, and also to other areas such in our city as well. And they have many other job functions. There's also, with turnover, there's a lack of continuity with our system knowledge. Every time someone leaves in our IT department, that is very critical and damaging to our continuity and what we operate with, and effectiveness. Additionally, while we have a limited disaster recovery program that we're working on for our network, it's our internal responsibility to design and to test it and maintain it. While we're responsible for other financial and other critical data stored on our internal network, which are at risk because there's so many other functions on our network. In the old days, it used to be finance was on its own server, and there was there were walls between it. And now, with every phishing scam, while we have internal workings that help us try to protect it, it's a greater risk. On offsite solutions, which is Tyler hosted, the hardware they get is state-of-the-art infrastructure They purchase it and maintain it off-site. They have 80-person staff that is available 24/7. That's what they do. They're devoted to our upgrades and to functionality. They free up our internal IT staff to work on more strategic initiatives. And our software, because they do these upgrades and fixes and things continually, it keeps our software at the latest level of success and efficiency. Someone squeaking there. The continuity of system knowledge, I think, is maintained regardless of if their staff changes, because this is all they do. They have people that this is what they do for a living, and they maintain the hardware. They help with upgrades, which are big upgrades and little ones, and do all the hardware and networks stuff for us internally, so that we are just signing in through a VPN up to the cloud to get our information. And so it limits IT's responsibility for it. And another thing that I think is an excellent thing is the disaster recovery program. Even the people, because I called references of people who are Tyler hosted for Munis. And the disaster recovery program is greatly enhanced for the financial piece, because they have various options already designed, and they test it on a regular basis. They will test it with us specifically, and it's maintained by Tyler. So we can take, because it's an internet connection, we can take it anywhere there's internet and we can connect to it. We could go to another city that if we wanted to use their printers or whatever, but really most of the critical things we can do are ACH. So we don't even need the paper infrastructure anymore if we don't have it available to us, if, like, say, the whole area is attacked. And then the other aspect of it is that Tyler then is responsible for our financial and other critical data that's stored off-site to their secure network. And they have redundancy, not just technological redundancy, but they have physical site redundancy as well, where the one area where our primary data is stored is in Providence, Rhode Island, and the other is in Texas. So it protects, because it's in two different regions of the country as well. And there's also backups on a regular basis that are electronic. The next chart is just kind of I got this off of the the Munis website, talking about being cloud hosted and how many people have access to their every day by going right to the software as a service, rather than having to, like, put our network at risk if we opened it up to people. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity here. Also, I did get a list of some areas or some cities and school districts and counties that are Tyler hosted in Ohio. They're on the next slide. I talked to the Berea School District, the city of Strongsville, the city of Findlay, the city of Gahanna, which is in Columbus, and the city of Mentor. And I talked to a variety of them, because like the city of Strongsville has been on Munis for a while, but they were on this SaaS from the beginning. They never had a server on. It was called something different way back then, but it was something similar. The city of Mentor and the city of Gahanna and Berea School District, they went on Munis and Tyler right off the bat. When they went to their products, their software products, they went right onto being hosted. And the city of Findlay is like us. They've been on Munis for since around 2005. I think they went live with their first module like we did, and they've been longtime customers. So they are the hybrid model that we are, where we purchased our licenses and software, but we now want to eliminate the hardware aspect and the cost, both capital and labor, of the upkeep of that, and move that to a hosted product. So, and what repeatedly they've said was that there's little, I've just jotted down some of the things that were common amongst most of who, well, actually all of who I spoke with. There's little internal IT involvement. That's great because, you know, just like them, they're operating, I mean, on low staff, trying to do the best they can and work on big picture items. So it really is helpful for IT. Additionally, they're always on the current version of Munis, so that they are getting the fixes on a regular basis rather than waiting and doing them on a quarterly basis when it takes some more time or there's downtime. There's a lot of relief because Tyler has the data and the responsibility for protecting it. I think the city of Mentor said that once they went to the hosted product, which their IT also recommended, they eliminated the management letter comment that we get every year, that every city gets every year, about having a full disaster recovery plan for their financial products. So they were able to take that right off their management letter from the auditors. They've had no problems. They felt that the people that manage the SaaS area are very knowledgeable and helpful when they call for support in that area. They're great when they're doing upgrades because they're knowledgeable, so they deal with it. So when we go this next version that I plan on going on in the fall, that we've been trying to get to for 3 years now, with little success, is a pretty big jump, but we'll have the infrastructure and the hardware in place, and they'll work through the printers working and that the software is talking to the hardware with us rather than, and they do this, that's what they do. So it's a great, it'll be much more efficient use of our times. I was worried about whether they had, if there was a delay or if it was slowed down by using the internet and being on that hosted platform, and none of them have had problems with that. If they've been down at all, it's been an hour, you know, they can't, you know, maybe an hour in 6 months to a year. I mean, they don't have a problem with it, and they're very responsive if there is an issue with it to help us resolve it. The other is the agreement that we have, which I think that was all attached to the legislation. And I know council and the administration may be looking at doing different items with, as say, going forward, moving off of Tyler for building and code enforcement or what have you. If we do that, and when we do that, the costs are prorated for that. So it's not like we're going to be paying for something that we're not going to use down the road, because as soon as we're on to another software product, we'll be paying that software company for the maintenance, and this one is prorated so that we're only paying for what we are using and have. So I guess the cost difference is, I know we talked about it in the budget process. It is budgeted in our 2021 budget to have it hosted. And there's $153,000 in there for it. 11,000 is one-time conversion costs, which you arguably could say that would be a lost cost or you'd write it off over the 3 years, but that's pretty nominal considering what we pay. And we pay like $95,000 for our software support right now. And we have other maintenance agreements, and we have our internal IT that does the hardware solutions. So I guess in a nutshell, there's a lot of opportunity costs that are created and added to that will gain efficiency that, maybe aren't in the dollars and cents on a piece of paper, but they will help us move forward for a long time to come. Oh, I forgot the last one. I know we've talked about it in the past, but Tyler is a huge organization, and we've been customers for a long time, since 2005, and they've grown to be the leader in products and commitments to governments, both local governments, villages, counties. They do school districts, they do state school districts. They have just a broad spectrum of government clients, and they're one of the leaders in it. Additionally, they've been recognized for that, and for in the field of government technology, and for software, ranking as one of the best software suppliers and largest for what we do. So I will open it up for questions, Mr. Chair, if that's what you'd like.
That'd be fine. Questions from committee? Questions from council? Mr. Glassburn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess the larger question I have, and I don't know if it's probably too complicated to answer in the next 7 minutes, is just the opportunity. I understand the argument of we have a 2-person shop, and there may be cost efficiencies of having any contractor provide these services. But what are the ballpark costs of us doing this in-house? What is the choice, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Mr. Chair, when we talked back when the budget was going through, and I had a comparison of the costs, and if we do need to replace servers, and because one of the reasons this last time why we couldn't convert is the server cannot handle the new version of the software, because the server's like at least 5 years old, and it can't handle it. So we know we have to buy a new server, so that is a cost. Now, is it a virtual or not a virtual? There's a difference in price, but additionally, we need IT support, because they spend time on this, and they've recommended to move forward. They recommended for actually most of the software products that we have in our city, if they prefer a hosted model. It takes a lot of the responsibility off that department, and not in a bad way, but so that they can work on other products. So in the original discussion, I had like $20,000 for technical assistance, but since then, when I've started looking at it, it's a lot more than that if we had to bring in somebody to do it as a part-time employee or a consultant. I had 20, but I don't think I think it's going to be more than that. I think that was lowballing it, and it would be ongoing, because we need this stuff maintained and upgraded, and I want to be on the latest versions, and I want to move this forward, because there's a lot of functionality in this later versions that are really going to help and support our customers, our ultimate customers, who are the residents. So I had 45,000 in for hardware and IT support, technical assistance. So when you add that on, it's a really it's $153,000 to 140 in year one, but we don't have that $11,000 cost for the one-time conversion costs that are required to do this. So in year 2 and 3, it would be $142,000 to 140. So the difference is really nominal. And when you calculate all the non-quantified benefits, like the disaster recovery and the security, because I mean, everyone knows that cities are constantly under attack from cyber stalkers because traditionally we've always been behind the 8 ball, all cities and governments, with technology. So they're really gaining in popularity to do that, and to have the power of a company that's all they do, I think is invaluable in protecting our data and our information.
Anybody else, Mr. Limpert?
Yeah, thank you. Sure. I guess the one drawback I can hear about cloud services, and just want to, from what you've talking to other cities software, it's not an issue, is data download and being able to get the information out of the system. Have you heard any feedback from other cities as it relates to being able to do ad hoc data pulls, or be able to get the reports and information that you need out of the system easily?
Mr. Chair, I think he froze, but I'm going to assume that he's saying yes. I wanted to let you know that I did talk to that was my concern. Is it going to be the system going to be slowed down? Are we going to have access to our information? Are we going to be able to do everything and then some that we can do in a safer environment? And everyone said that they have had no problem. And I really wanted to focus on the cities that have done it 2 different ways, because I think that that's the telltale sign. And they've seen no slowdown, no lack of access to information at any point in time. And they're really, actually, they have, we can get a hold of somebody 24/7 if we need to.
Mr. Kelly, I see you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not a real tech guy. What would make Tyler Tech not be as vulnerable to attack as if we had it ourselves?
You want to take that, Mr. Almay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, so the difference is, and Carrie touched on it in her presentation, is really the resources that we can throw at it. So we have folks that's what they do day in and day out. We have, I think it's 80 employees that are managing and protecting kind of our SaaS environment. So we're able to, just leverage the resources on our end to protect the data that we're hosting. Whereas, and this is the case for all the governments that we work with for the most part, they just don't have the resources. It sounds like you have a 2-person shop there in IT. And so they can't spend, 24/7 looking at log files, making sure that, your system's secure. So I think that's the primary difference, is allowing us to kind of leverage the technology and resources that we have to kind of harden our environment that wouldn't really be feasible for a smaller organization that has everything else that you have to worry about. Hope that helps.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Carrie. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Kelly, and to all of council, Justin's right, and as he's talking about it, they do, like, I can't think of the name of the testing, but they do testing all the time on their networks for I think it's called penetration testing, and they test repeatedly on trying to make sure that there are no threats coming that can come through. They test for weaknesses in their network all the time, and they they also work with the cities itself to make sure that that our disaster recovery, like we can go through, they can test us and try and break the system. So they do this on a repeated basis, and that expertise, ain't nobody got time for that in a 2-person IT department. But that's some of the forward-thinking things that happen, and they can leverage that because they're doing it for the same 80 or however many, not 80 employees, but however many people or customers are on the network. They can test it, so there's like some efficiency of scale for them to be able to do this on a regular basis.
Carrie, President Jones, we seem to be running a little long here. Would you prefer us to hold this in committee and discuss it again next week at the regular committee meetings?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I would recommend that. We do have a few items on first reading that are being requested for suspension, so we'll need a few minutes to discuss those in caucus.
Of course, we had talked about this an awful lot in budget hearings, but I think this there's obviously a few more questions that people want to have answered. So maybe everybody could write them down and send them to Carrie, and then we can do this if that's right with the rest of the committee. Ms. Williamson, you wanted to add something? Angela, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute my mic. I just had one quick question. Now, is this contract in addition to the Munis contract that we already have?
Carrie?
You're muted.
Thank you. No, it replaces the Munis contract we have, and this is our complete contract with Tyler then.
So this will eliminate our previous 10-year contract that doesn't expire until next year. Is that what you're telling me?
This is a 3-year contract. Yes.
Correct, but I'm thinking it's going to.
I don't
It's going to eliminate
10-year contract necessarily. We've been on it since 2005.
Okay, well, okay. I think that's a good question that we could have answered. Maybe we could get that clarified for our next meeting. If it's all right with the committee, I'd like to go ahead and move to hold this in committee and discuss it again next week or when we meet again for committee meetings. Yes, Carrie.
I'm fine with that. Only I'm requesting though that this needs to get passed before July vacation so that I can move forward on it, because we need to schedule time and get on their calendar to first do the conversion and then do the upgrade. So it
would have to go to suspension.
Unless you had a third reading, a third meeting before the end of June.
Okay. All right. Does that sound right, Council President? Does that sound?
Yes, that would be correct. If it was not passed under suspension at one of the meetings in June that are regularly scheduled, Council would have to consider having a special meeting at the end of June.
All right. Well, I'm sure we can get this all ironed out in another meeting. I wasn't really expecting dinner and a show tonight, so I appreciate the presentation. And I hate to make people work, but and have to come to another meeting or whatever, but I'm sure we have some other things in the agenda that we'll be meeting about. So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we hold this in committee. Ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And aye. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.